I'd like to share with you my technique for coloring rock faces using the Woodland Scenics leopard spotting technique with some slight variations. I use the apple barrel craft paints that you find at your Walmart and local department stores, and my recipe there for the color mixes is listed on the card. 16 part water to 1 part yellow ochre, 16 parts water to 1 part burnt umber, 32 parts water to 1 part black, and I really like this pavement color from Apple Barrel. It's a warmer color, so I prefer that for my black. And then 32 parts of my main rock color, which is 1 part raw umber. So let's get started. All right, I'm getting started with my yellow ochre first, and I'm just going to dab this on. I'm not going to cover all the rock surfaces. I just want to give it a few spots and leave a lot of that white. And then in just a moment, I'm going to come on with my next color, which is the burnt umber. The burnt umber is a red color, so if you're going with more red rocks, use this as your main color. I'm going with a more brown color, so I'm going to go with the raw umber, but this is the burnt umber. And just apply it again. You don't have to cover everything. You can leave those white spots there, no problem with that. Now, my main color, which is 32 parts to 1 part raw umber, I'm going to cover all the rocks with this. And then after I apply all of this, then I'll let it dry, and then I'll seal it with some scenic cement or a mixture of matte medium diluted with water. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to let that dry thoroughly before I go into the next step. Now this next step is the 32 parts water to 1 part of black. The Woodland Scenics recipe calls for 16 parts for this, but I have found that the black has a tendency to be a little too dark on first application. So I've diluted it further to 32 parts to 1 part, and that way then I can control the black, and I can always add another layer if it gets too light. I'm going to allow this to dry, and now I'm going to go ahead and spray it with the scenic cement to lock it in. All right, I've waited overnight and the rocks are dried, and I noticed that my rocks are a bit light. No problem. Let's go back over and add some more color. I'm going to be using my burnt umber and go back over these dried rocks and just dab this on again. Just a few parts of it, just darken things up a little bit. Without cleaning my foam brush, I'm just going to go on into the raw umber and cover all the rock surfaces with the raw umber. Next, I'm going to take my black wash once again and just go on and just dribble it on here. I had it a little heavy in my foam brush, but that's okay. It's going to work real well this way. Just again, light dab, just darken things up again. I'll once again seal everything with scenic cement and allow that to dry. The last step will be dry brushing. I like these Liquitex acrylic tube paints. I'll be using titanium white. And using a dry brush effect, I just have a little index card here, and I'm using a big soft brush. And I'm going to get as much of the paint off as I can onto the index card. And I even like to do it on my skin a little bit just to make sure I've got enough paint. It's really easy to get this a little too heavy, so make sure you clean it. You can always go back and add more, but it's hard to take it off if you get it a little too heavy. But if you do, just go back with your black wash and you can do it over again. These are very forgiving. And then I just want to lightly brush over the top surfaces of the rock faces. And just do this to whatever level you desire. And again, this is a personal taste. And I'll just, again, continue to show you as I go over all these rock surfaces and just want to create those little light highlights. All right, that looks pretty good. And here's the completed rock face. Very simple technique. I hope you give it a try.